All right, it is 12 o'clock, and we do want to welcome everybody. Welcome to our first of this year's series. If somebody could unmute and just let me know that they can hear me talking, I would be very appreciative.
We can hear you talking.
Thank you, Decca. All right, so we want to welcome you to our first in the series for wellness. Both Decca and I are from the the Center for Clinical Wellness, and I'm a wellness liaison, and I'll be hosting many of these talks. There's Decca, hi. Thank you for being there. And we just wanted to get started with something very positive, very uplifting. And so just that song, Can't Stop This Feeling. Hopefully each of you have a song that kind of gets you going in the day, even when it's kind of a gray day, there's something that kind of gets you going. And we really want to talk today about gratitude and the idea that it is strongly related to all aspects of well-being and positive functioning. So we're going to lay this on heavy about gratitude. Decca, I think you're going to go ahead and put the Mentimeter link and code in the chat, which we'll be using in just a couple of moments. At any time, please feel free to open up your video so we can see your faces, your smiling faces. And that also, please don't hesitate to make a comment or to put something in the chat. We will definitely try to catch that as soon as that happens. And I think I appreciate, thank you for putting that in there. All right. And so to get started, just to talk a little bit about what this all is that what we're going to do is every month we're going to talk about a topic, and we will present it twice. It will also be recorded so that if you did miss it and wanted to get back to it, you could do that. And here's kind of a listing, and we will send reminders each month so that you're able to join us. The first time in the month, it'll be at noon, like today, and then we'll repeat it again at 6 o'clock in the second date that's on your list. The only month that's different is October, which is the mental health forums, and that will be every Wednesday at noon. Decca, did you have anything you wanted to add in about the mental health forums?
Yeah, so the mental health forums is happening in all 4 locations, I would say, at Rumsey, Rush U, Copley, and also Rush Oak Park. The idea is we wish we could all be together in person, but there is a cap for the in-person participation, and that's up to 60 people. And then for the online, as many people can attend, please look out for a flyer through Rush University Communications, and also Rush Wellness will be sending out their monthly email soon, newsletter, excuse me. So you can find more information there.
Thank you so much. So just to give you a little background, this Wellness Workshop series for students and professors was designed for you based on the listening sessions that were held with students, and the feedback is what gave us the topics, the themes, kind of the content. So we really appreciate you being here with us, and we hope that you find them valuable. And again, please don't hesitate to work in the, go into the chat or unmute and speak. So we'd like to start with just a grounding exercise. I'm not sure what your morning was like, if you were rushing around, if you popped into this in the last minute, but just we're going to take a couple of seconds just to kind of settle in, appreciate being here. And what I'd like to do is go through 2 things. One is what's called a calming hold. And so that can be used anytime that you're feeling anxious because it touches on neural pathways. And so what you would start with is take your right hand, place it under your left arm, pressing against your ribs, and take your left hand up over your shoulder and just kind of hold into those 2 spaces and take 3 deep breaths. In through your nose, out through your mouth. If you like, you can continue holding your hands like this, or hold your hand over your heart and close your eyes. Settle into your chair. Continue that breathing, that into the count of 4, out to the count of 4. And think of a person who's been kind to you. Could be a grandparent, a teacher, a parent, a friend, even a beloved pet. Allow yourself to feel this kindness, this warmth. Imagine this person, this being, gazing at you with understanding and kindness and compassion. Imagine this person wishing you well, sending you a blessing, possibly saying these words. May you be safe and protected. May you be healthy. May you be held in kindness and compassion. Just sit for a moment, take one more deep breath, and stretch. Stretch out to the front, stretch over your head, and reach your hands behind your back to open up your chest and take that last deep breath. I hope that brings you into the room with us. And if there's more things that you need, we'll give you little tidbits along the way, but that deep breathing, kind of slowing your breathing, or that calming hold are two things that you can actually do for yourself, for self-compassion, self-kindness. You could also consider the song Grateful by Jewel. It's on her website, neverbroken.com. She actually talks about using this when she's feeling kind of a panic attack or being nervous coming on, and it helps her shift right to the present moment, which is a really good thing instead of worrying about the past or anticipating the future. And she thinks about the sun coming through the trees. It brings back a positive memory, and she's able to kind of reconnect with what's actually happening instead of feeling that emotion of a panic attack. And so any of those kind of things, having a beautiful destination in your mind. I just got back from vacation, and the last thing I saw was the mountains before we left in the Grand Teton. And so I can bring that powerful image up, and it just is very calming, very soothing. And so hopefully that you'd be able to do some of that as well. This slide is talking about the Mentimeter, and that's what Decca had put in the chat. So what you have is a site to go to on your phone, if you're on your phone. It's www.mentimeter.com, and there's a code which is on your screen. I'm going to shift this screen to the Mentimeter site in a few moments. That code will still be on the screen once I shift, so don't worry about it. But I want you to think about a word that inspires you, or a short inspirational phrase that really kind of shifts your attitude. It could be anything. It could be the word dream, hope, believe, inspire, heart, fearless, growth. There's some phrases that I like. One is change is an opportunity, do something amazing. This is a wonderful day. I've never seen this one before. That's by Maya Angelou. And believe you can, and you're halfway there. That's by Theodore Roosevelt. So just something like that. So if you'd be able to go to that menti.com and put in that code, and what I'm going to do is switch my screen, and we'll take a look to see what types of responses we're getting from you. And so it can just be one word, that's all. Or if you've brought other things and you want to put it in the chat, that would be awesome as well. Hi, thank you, Arthur, for having your screen on. I love it. All right, so here's some of the things. Let's see if I can get you back on. All right, and I'm hoping you can now see this screen with the responses that you're putting in, which I think is wonderful. If I can get this over a little bit. Oh, magnanimous, that's a wonderful word. Look at that. Latitude, yeah, language can change attitude, true. And latitude can change attitude, if any of you know that song that I'm speaking of this. We are in this together, absolutely. Faith and hope. The larger the font, the more people are putting in those words. Peace is a wonderful word. Thank you so much for adding that. right, so just another couple moments. Oh, chocolate. Oh, you read my mind. Chocolate is a bean and you need to have vegetables every day, right? Does that make you smile? Absolutely makes me smile. Thank you so much for everybody who is adding in this. And what I'm going to do is we can look at this a little bit later. The idea that we're in this together, absolutely. So thank you for all of you who did add that. It will continue to pull in the words as you vote, even when I stop sharing and go back to the, let's see, all right. Do we have the screen back? I'm hoping. And thank you for those of you who were able to vote and put those words in. And I think even if you didn't have a word of your own, maybe you saw something on that screen that did make you smile and you could use that as your word. And what's nice about that is just to be able to stop, take a breath, and think of that moment. I think that's a really important thing. So as we move on, these are actual
Judy.
brain scans. Yes?
Sorry, the screen is not there, and I'm actually outside for the fire drill, just a heads up.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh my gosh. All right. Thanks a lot. Of course, that would be happening, right?
Right.
All right.
You got your screen
Okay.
back on. Great.
All right, thanks. So these are actually actual brain scans. Dr. Glenn Fox did a study on neural correlates of gratitude, and those spots are like what brightens when you're feeling grateful. And so I think that the more that you send a signal between cells, the synapse is strengthened. And this works for both negative and positive scanning that you do during the day. So kind of think about your day. Are you always worried, anxious, thinking about what would happen or what if, or are you able to actually think about some good things that happened in your day? Think about one good thing that happened yesterday. And if you're able to do that, the more you do that, the more you're aware of things that you're grateful for, it does make a difference in your brain over time. It really does shift how you perceive bad times. And then you think about practicing it, and it's a skill. And I think that's an important thing that we think about, is that we do have to practice this positive psychology. It doesn't happen automatically because we're hardwired to think about the negative things as a protective measure. And so I think that's an important thing. So for today, we want to talk just briefly about the difference between feelings and emotions, talk about why we need gratitude in our life, and maybe identify one tool that you can use to increase your attitude of gratitude, even if it is just taking that deep breath, talking about something positive. Those are kinds of things that will really make a difference in your mind, in those synapses, in that neuroplasticity that you need to practice and work on. All right, so as you're walking down the hall and somebody says, "Hey, how are you?" How do you respond? Are you doing like, "Okay, fine, good, thanks, I'll live in the dream"? Or can you actually connect with how you're feeling? So let's spend a moment on that. There's a difference between feelings and emotions. Emotions actually will come first. They're associated with your body reactions. They're activated through neurotransmitters and hormones that are released by the brain in our interpretation to a trigger. So the trigger might be the person walking towards you, and your body has an emotional response to that. If it's somebody you know, you brighten, you recognize them, and you're thinking of something to say. So that's the emotion that you're feeling. So maybe it's bubbly or euphoric because you're excited, you haven't seen them in a while. Or maybe it's somebody that you're a little nervous to be around and you might feel yourself tense or your stomach get a little queasy. Those are the emotions. Then the mood develops. So think about it. When you have these interactions, are you aware of your emotion, your mood, and then finally the feeling? So feelings are actually the conscious experience of an emotional reaction. Maybe you could use this as your wellness challenge for the week. So if somebody asks, "How are you feeling?" maybe you could say, "Grateful, content, joyful, tired, exhausted, Those are the feelings. And see if you can't use that. Maybe it's just a little exercise to practice a little bit. It might be kind of a fun experiment that you'd be able to do for yourself as part of wellness. So giving you a little bit of background about gratitude or of grace, we want to think about the things that gratitude gives us. It's that feeling when we recognize we've received something of value. It could be a thing, it could be a feeling, just time with somebody is really important that we notice and appreciate the positive. This idea of life orientation toward noticing positive is a real strong thing. And there's 4 pieces to that: personality traits, well-being, relationships, and physical health, which I'll address in a moment. But I want to make sure that it's clear that gratitude is not a synonym for happiness. It's very different, okay? So the first thing is personality. And so if you look at this slide, it has OCEAN as the acronym. And there's these 5 basic personality traits. So personality is associated with these adaptive traits. So your ability to be open and creative versus adverse to change. And I think with the pandemic, the level of tolerance may have changed. You may feel that you're less tolerant since the pandemic. And so maybe you need to think about, would I like to be more open to experiences? Would I have that level of trust to do that? Or with that conscientiousness, that good impulse control, kind of not jumping in, having to be right, versus that tendency to procrastinate. And I know as students, that's an easy thing to slip into. And so kind of think about, is that something you'd like to focus on? Being energized around people or socially exhausted by people. I think, again, the pandemic has definitely touched on this. We are in this fog. We are starting to get back in with groups of people. We have a level of concern. Will I be safe? Will I be healthy? But at the same time, we also can be exhausted about having people around us, hearing the amount of sounds that we have versus the way we used to do this a couple months ago, very much isolated, very quiet. And so recognize that for yourself, allow yourself some self-care around that, and notice if you are exhausted after being in an event where you're physically with people. Agreeableness, that, interest in others versus the competitiveness is important, and emotionally stable versus dramatic mood shifts. If you're feeling those, that might be something that you want to think about. Maybe I want to work on that. Maybe that's something for my own wellness. I'd like to change that. The second thing is well-being. Well-being, definitely gratitude is in there with well-being. It's associated with this whole range of things that are listed. There was a Gallup poll in 1999 where they said 90% of teens and adults indicated that expressing gratitude made them extremely or somewhat happy. Gratitude is related to mood and life satisfaction. So just for a little exercise, and this could be something that you could do every day to release endorphins, and releasing endorphins helps you feel better, it lifts your mood. Send a positive text to someone. Send it to a friend, a family member. Go ahead right now, pull out your phone if you're not watching this on your phone, or if you're able to kind of toggle between the two, and send a compliment to somebody, or send a greeting. Nice to see you, looking forward to seeing you, I miss you, I love you, you did a great job yesterday, looking forward to something, just thanking them for something. Thank you for being my friend, thank you for being around. And so it just feels kind of good, and maybe even kind of giggle a little bit while you're writing it, because maybe you do something silly, and that's wonderful. But then the second endorphin hit will be if they respond, and then how they respond to you. So that'll actually feel good. So go ahead and give that a try. And if you do get a response and you don't mind sharing it in the chat, it would be wonderful. It'd be joyful for all of us to have that feeling as well. Gratitude for the third thing is related to relationships. So the social outcomes and positive relationships are very important. One of the most important things, most powerful things on this slide is the willingness to forgive. That if you sense about your need to be right, your need to move into a conflict, and then hold that feeling of anger or disappointment of that person. That willingness to forgive is important, and especially forgiving yourself, not being so hard on yourself about how you are moving through the world, how you are doing things, to allow yourself time to learn, allow yourself to make the mistakes so you can learn from them and move forward instead of chastising yourself for having that happen. And so that's a really important thing. The fourth thing is about health. Gratitude can actually light up your brain during socialization and experiencing pleasure, but it also activates when you have stress release. So you know that deep breath you have after you've done something that you're a little bit anxious about, like for me, presenting these talks, I feel very responsible and very concerned that I want to make sure they're of value to you. So after this is over, I will have that sense of release and relief, and feeling relief is rewarding. And so that is part of gratitude. The other things is that studies are showing that there's links to decreased inflammation and better sleep if you are embracing those feelings of gratitude. So my hope is that you're starting to feel that sense of how important this is, and how easy it might be to kind of shift to that positive scanning, to that gratitude. Studies say that 33% of your outlook is genetic. So your mom and dad do impact how you look at the world, but only 33%. So you still got 2/3 that is yours, and that you can move around in. You know, that idea of the glass half full, half empty, or if you ask an engineer, they'll say that the glass is too big. But the idea is there's things you can do, like there's actually a thing you can Google called 3 Good Things. And it specifically is listed in 7 out of 12 studies on gratitude, that if you think about 3 good things that happened every night before you go to sleep, you will have that endorphin release. You will have that relaxation sensation. And you get up maybe sleeping a little better, maybe feeling a little more rested. And especially if you create the habit by doing it 14 days in a row, you'll start to recognize good things earlier and earlier in the day. And so it just starts to feel good. It becomes part of what you do. And it can be easy, like your socks match, or somebody gave you a compliment. Those are good things that you want to add into your day, right? Using something that is kind of complex, contemplation, just some kind of a brief intervention focused on a positive experience, even 5 minutes to kind of set aside at the end of your day is definitely a mood raiser, and you want to be able to do this. The most powerful thing that they're finding in gratitude research is going to make you laugh, because you'll remember your mom in this, I know. There was a study done about writing a letter to a benefactor and thanking them for something you received. They needed to write it and deliver it within 1 week. And then the other group wrote about childhood memories or daily events. And there was definitely much more brightening in the MRIs that they did, in their attitudes that they reported. So my question to you is, did you grow up writing thank you notes? And if you did, you have that sense that's already been hardwired about expressing gratitude. Don't give up that practice. The idea of writing a thank you note feels good that you've written it. It's an accomplishment. It's complete. The person receives it, feels good that you took the time because they took the time to provide something of value to you. And so they may even thank you for the thank you note. So it's a very good thing, a very easy, low effort kind of thing to do. So if you've got something that you received and you haven't written that thank you note, even an email, do it today. All right. Gratitude basics. So maybe there's a situation that you received a ride from the airport from a friend, and you believed that this saved you time and money, and you appreciated the time it took your friend to do this. On the flip side, some people may have a hard time accepting assistance. They're thinking that they didn't really need the help, but they just accepted it because it was their friend, and they rationalized that their friend had nothing better to do. But now you're thinking, now I owe them a trip and it's a problem. So that's the flip between the gratitude and not being able to see that gratitude. If you find yourself having little bits of that, actually pay attention to when that starts to happen and stop yourself. Take that deep breath and try to shift that negative. Try to be able to feel that gratitude. A TED Talk that I would recommend is Brene Brown's TED Talk on the power of vulnerability. It's wonderful about being able to accept and appreciate and practice that gratitude. Very important. Instead of looking at what's wrong or judging, you can shift that latitude to figure out and optimize what's working. And I think companies are finding out that that's a good way to kind of move now. Building strength and tenacity, being your best self. It's really important. This gratitude scaffolds other emotional experiences. Gratitude and love are connected. Gratitude and interpersonal trust are connected. That positive feeling of gratitude can actually minimize your stress and feelings of emotional pain. And so I think those things make it very important that you appreciate what is positive. And it's not a Pollyanna thing. It's just recognizing there's good things happening because, again, we are hardwired to scan for that negative. We want to be able to ask for assistance. I think that's different than asking for help. Help feels like you're going down for the third time. Assistance sounds like you want somebody next to you, somebody going with you, somebody mentoring you, somebody coaching you. That's a really important thing. And so having this positive coping, having this equilibrium is very important that you're able to engage in these types of things, this problem solving, allowing composure, even distancing yourself. If you feel that you're tense, you're anxious in this experience that you're having, if you recognize that, physically take one step back, and it actually will trigger your brain to take a broader look at what's happening, to see what's real versus what you're feeling, what emotions you're having. And so again, thinking about that emotions versus feelings kind of thing, that is it your emotion based on a previous experience, or is it your feeling in the present moment? And so those things are very important to kind of help shift and be positive with this. You want to be able to surround yourself with positive things. I think that's a really important thing. And evaluate that lifestyle that you have. How are you sleeping? What are your nutritional choices? Do you get up and move? Or are you at the computer all day? Are you able to take breaks? Even that 20-20-20 rule, where every 20 minutes you take 20 seconds and look away at about 20 feet, 20 yards out, and then come back. And allowing your brain to have a different visual field is really important. Brief rests are important, and definitely time away. If you're able to take a vacation, even if it's a staycation, and just disconnect for a little bit is really good. Cleveland Clinic really talks about this, coping with life stressors. They have a lot on that. And so having something fun or challenging in each of your days would be good. Learning something, you could even decrease caffeine. That would be a wellness thing. And again, research shows that the low-cost intervention with the highest correlation to emotion of gratitude is writing a thank you note or sending a text of gratitude. And hopefully some of you are getting some responses on your text that you sent. Again, looking at this brain scan, to have good cognitive function, you need these 5 things in your life. You need to move. So physical exertion is the only thing that's scientifically documented to improve your brain and health function. Scientifically documented. So yes, even walking, gardening, weeding, whatever, yeah, do it. Discovering, do something different, learn something new. Even brushing your teeth with your other hand can strengthen your neuroplasticity. So if it's that easy that we all need to do it, it can increase your attention, focus, and concentration. So as a student, those are things that are very key to your success. What about relaxing? You know, you say, I don't have time to relax. Well, actually, even your brain needs downtime. If you have poor sleep hygiene, it actually leads to impaired memory. So I think for those of you who are trying to remember copious amounts of information, the ability to sleep, have good sleep hygiene, good sleep routine is important. And it will allow you to have better tolerance to learn and adapt. And those are things that you really need to do to be successful. Just a side note, multitasking actually slows your thinking. You think you're doing a lot, but you're actually taking longer to do them. So think about that. Nourish, to think about your choices about nutrition. We actually will have a presentation on nutrition and your wellness coming up in December. So that will be a good thing to talk about the foods that can help with your memory, maximize your performance. And that's something that you definitely want to do. And then finally, connect. You know, people talk about crossword puzzles are good for your brain, those kind of things, but actually connecting with others in person, face to face, safely is the best. That's going to give you the best reaction in your brain about promoting good cognitive function. I like this saying because I think sometimes we need to be reminded that we are all resilient and courageous. And sometimes we just need some support to help us access or remember that we are. The Global Wellness Institute states that wellness is the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles, including the practice of gratitude that leads us to a state of holistic health. So that's very strong. So if you have the opportunity to join a wellness activity, maybe you go to rooftop yoga twice a week here at Rush on the 9th floor at, I think it's 6:30 in the morning. Wonderful. Just breathing, watching something funny is good. Requesting a coaching center, and this is with the Center for Clinical Wellness. Consider the Wellness Center as a net if you feel you're going to fall, or as wings when you fly. I heard that the other day on the Emmys, and I just really love that saying. I thought that that was a really good thing when we go to talk about support. And so what we want to do for a couple minutes is just talk about what's here at Rush to support you. And I am grateful to Rush and donors for creating the Center of Wellness for Rush. This is a physical place here over in the Triangle Building on the first floor that you're able to access this either in person or virtually. And the things that are available to you is counseling, coaching, and that's a picture of the energy pod that you can just come in and make an appointment for that and have some moments of just weightlessness, just kind of relaxed time. The critical point on this slide is that it's free. It is free to students, house staff, and employees. There is no session cap. You can come in for coaching, counseling, especially if you have something coming up where you're feeling anxious, you're thinking that you want to spend a little time kind of right-sizing yourself, maybe even just one time, but this is free. If you find that it works for you and you want to set up follow-up appointments, very easy to do. It's all online. And again, there is no cost to you. This is Student Counseling Center. This is the Wellness Center for you here at Rush. Want to make sure that you know that it's available 7 to 7, Monday through Friday, and the telehealth is also available. That is virtual visits as well. If you want to use your phone to click on this QR code, you can do that. The other thing you can do is just go to Rush Wellness, the Inside Rush pages, and you'll see the website Rush Wellness, and you'll be able to access the website very easily that way. If you're worried about confidentiality, because this is something where you're getting mental health coaching, that it is designed for your privacy. When you walk in, you come in by appointment. There are individual waiting rooms, which flow only one way into the coaching area, which is individual, and you leave, you exit through a separate one-way traffic design. So very confidential. It is not part of EPIC. It is not part of the EMR here at Rush. It is separate, as well as the scheduling is separate. So I think that there's a lot of thought that got put into confidentiality if you're feeling a little concerned about people seeing you. And my hope is that you don't. My hope is that you look at your mental health just like you look at your physical health, and you do get those checkups. You do check in with your doctor when something is not right. And so if you're feeling just a little bit off center, just need a little bit of coaching, definitely this is somewhere that you can come to. There is a pager that can be used 24/7 if there is a feeling of things are not okay. And so you want to be able to use that, and you will get a response within an hour. And you don't have to be sure. If you're just not feeling yourself, that's an important thing that you think about, to have this free service to you to be able to check in when you're not certain. Use this for yourself, for your peers. If there's faculty on this webinar or this Zoom call, this would be great to kind of put a post-it in your office to use that if there is something that you want to offer to students when things are not going well. And so that's kind of a good thing. Now, you also have another opportunity. We contract with an outside agency. Most people know about an EAP, Employee Assistance Program. This is our wellness program, and it is, I will move our little thing here. There we go. It is accessed by a call or text, so you can call for a counselor or coaching with this outside organization as well. But there are a couple of things that are different with this. They're 24/7, which is really good. And it's unique because your family member can also be part of this as part of RUSH, that's part of a benefit. But it's limited to only 5 sessions, and then it moves on to your insurance. So that's different than using the RUSH Center for Wellness, which those are free and unlimited. So I want to make sure that you kind of have those two thoughts, how they are separate. And if you do have any questions, we'll take questions and answers at the end after we turn off the recording, and you'll be able to kind of get that clarified. But you have 2 opportunities. One is the Center for Clinical Wellness, that's available Monday through Friday, 7 to 7, and virtually with a pager, 852323. Or you also have the opportunity to work with an outside agency 5 times, is part of your benefit, and then it moves over to your insurance. All right, so to just kind of wrap up a little bit, I want to think about allowing what RUSH can offer you. That's actually a gift you give yourself, that you want to be able to think about your sweet spot. If you're sleeping 7 hours, that your eyes and your ears need those 7 hours of dark. If your room is cool enough to allow you to sleep. If you're able to turn off your technology, practice 3 good things. Use guided meditation. Right now, we have, I think it's either free or $5 to YogaWorks, and you are able to take advantage of that being part of RUSH. And so that's a really good thing if you've thought about wanting to get involved in yoga and just haven't had a chance to do that. And yoga can be just a few minutes, or it can be a half hour, or it can be longer, and they have a lot of different sessions. So you can try that. If you're really struggling, you want to think about a particular task you're just very distracted. It's really good to just disconnect for a little bit. Take a break, walk away, do something low key just for a few minutes before you come back. It's important you feel safe, that you have techniques that you can calm yourself, and that you practice gratitude, that it's actually a strategy that you practice gratitude and have those 3 good things. In support of your well-being, we talked about these 5 pillars of wellness that we use at RUSH. And through the use of living with gratitude, you're able to take advantage of all of those, and all of those feed back to gratitude. I follow Parker J. Palmer. I don't know if any of you guys do that on YouTube, but he said that no matter what's going on in the world, gratitude for small things is always possible. We must not lose sight of the light, even if we acknowledge the darkness. Gratitude is one of the best ways we have to keep the torch burning as we come through the fog toward a better world for all of us. And I think those are very kind of important and soft words to kind of think about. So I'd like to open up for questions, and we're going to go ahead and we'll end the recording. And so if we can take a look in the chat.